Hey, everybody, welcome to this special webinar. I'm Jonathan Mast, your host, and I am thrilled today to have with me Chris Rodriguez. Chris and I have gotten to know each other over the last couple of years in an amazing agency mastermind. And one of the things that Chris and I have in common is we both do daily videos as part of our branding. And as part of that comes along, well, let's just say some trolls. Chris, would you agree with that? That love to make fun of various things and seem to have more time on their hands than they do a brain sometimes. I know you've run into that. Today, we're going to chat a little bit about that, about how to tame those trolls and get over that stumbling block that so many people have about just worried about what somebody's going to say. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on this? You've probably heard it like I have. What's the best way in your mind to, I guess, introduce this topic, and what can you share about your story and the regular videos and the trolls and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, so I think troll is a nice way of putting it. I definitely have a couple of other names that come to mind besides trolls, but I've literally been called everything from SpongeBob to Kermit the Frog. I get comments, are you a girl? Are you a boy? Is that a dude? If I had a nickel for every time somebody's accused me for being on testosterone, I would be ungodly rich. I get comments on my voice all the time and how annoying it is. And, people even going as far as saying like I'm a horrible person, which is just interesting that that's what they get from a 30-second or 60-second clip. So I've been called it all, through this kind of journey of putting yourself out on the internet.
Well, and maybe that's a good place to start, Chris. Why? I've got my story of why I do it. I obviously want to be seen as that expert. I want people to be able to find me when they're looking for the services that I offer. But as a business owner, why is video important? Why do you do daily video? What's behind the push to that? And is it important for most business owners in your mind?
Yeah, I think Grant Cardone first said, best known beats best. Well, I want to be the best. And I also want to be the best known. And we've all, seen just the explosion of video marketing over, the last 5+ years. And it's not going anywhere. And every single one of our prospects, as well as our clients, has one of these in their pocket or within, arm's reach. If it's anything further than arm's reach, you kind of like, where's my phone at? Yes. And it is one of the absolute, just easiest ways to connect with your prospects and clients. And, even with doing lives like this, it doesn't cost anything. It, is a very affordable way to get your message out. And the more people that we can reach, the bigger impact we have. That concept is really one of the reasons why I fell in love with internet marketing in the first place. And, I owned a martial arts school for 11 years, been in the industry for over 30. And I really could only make an impact at my martial arts school within a 5 to 10 mile radius of my community. People aren't really going to drive much further to go to a brick and mortar location. And with the power of the internet, your reach, that ripple effect is just much wider. So to me, this is a non-negotiable. I work with a lot of business owners owning a marketing agency. And it's one of the biggest hurdles that a lot of our clients struggle overcoming, which is being comfortable on camera. And I truly believe that every single business needs to have somebody, ideally the owner, but if it's not going to be the owner, somebody on your team has to start developing that skill set, because video isn't going anywhere. It's just going to continue to get more and more popular. And it is a skill set you can develop for sure.
No, without a doubt. I know I find that, for me, a lot of the the people that come into this, let's say, call it the top of my funnel, the people that those warm prospects that come in and looking me up, wanting to know what I offer, what I can do, how I can help them. A lot of them come after watching a number of my videos. And I hear regularly that, they feel like they know, like, and trust me already because they've seen videos, whether it's a webinar like this, whether it's the 30-second short that I'm doing, anything like that. And I know absolutely this works. You and I have probably also heard from our clients in particular, they just don't want to take that, not sure how to deal with that person that's going to make negative comments about them. I know in my case, I've just started to realize that every comment I get on a video from YouTube or Facebook or Instagram's perspective, it's a good comment. They don't know. They don't care whether it's a troll or whether it's somebody that's saying we did a great job. So that engagement is a good thing. That was one of the major things that helped me personally overcome some of the trolls. What are some things that you found helpful as you've gotten through this? And because you've become an absolute pro at this in your daily videos, what have you found to be helpful to you to get past that hiccup of, oh my gosh, these people are just being rude?
Yeah, I'll be honest. It bothered me, really bothered me at a point where I actually considered stopping putting out content completely. Let's see, it was back in 2022. I was at the Martial Arts Industry Super Show, which is our largest conference in our industry. And prior to the trip, I was putting out content like I always do and just got some, negative comments. And I was really considering just stopping. And when I was at the event and I was walking around, I had a couple of different speaking sessions and we had a booth. I was blown away by the amount of people that came up to me, people that they were speaking to me like they truly knew me. And it's because they saw my content, even though I'd never had a conversation with them. And what was really interesting, I had one woman in tears saying that a video that I posted during COVID was the video that helped her get through that because she was ready to just give up. And there was story after story hearing this. And what's so interesting is that these people, a lot of them never commented on my videos. Yes. And I think that is something that we should definitely unpack because the majority of people online are lurkers. They are not going to take the time. The lady that said the video that, she saw that helped save her business, she never even commented on the video.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things and one of the fears is putting yourself out there and then people not reacting to it, right? And my message is that people are seeing it even if they're not commenting or engaging with it. So that's one thing I want everybody to remember. If you have this fear of like, oh, it's just not going to be good enough, nobody's going to like it, they're still going to see it. They might not heart it, they might not comment on it or share it, but they are seeing it. And it really did bother me at first. And it's interesting, you could be in a room of 100 people, 99 people tell you you're amazing. One person has a negative comment and all of our focus and attention goes to that one person. And it's just kind of like, how I think our brains are wired. But there's two quotes out there that I read that really helped to have a, positive influence on my motivation and inspiration to keep doing this. And the first quote is that someone is waiting on you to reach your potential so that they can reach theirs. And any type of fear that I had around this or not wanting to do it, not only am I holding myself back, but I'm also holding others if I don't step into that feeling of being uncomfortable. And another quote that I absolutely love is, this mountain has been put in front of you to show others it can be moved. So I always want to lead by example. And if I'm sitting here telling my clients that they need to be posting content, that they need to put themselves out there, I better lead by example.
Well, and you definitely do. I think you may bring up a really good point about how many lurkers there are. And that's not really a bad thing, but there's people out there that are watching your videos, that are paying attention to your content, and they're never commenting. They're never saying anything. While you were talking, I just went to look at my Instagram and I grabbed one of my higher producing videos. It's got about 930,000 views on it. Normally, I don't get that high. there's only 16 comments on there. And 3 of them are negative about the fact that I'm wearing Crocs. It happens to be a video short out of a speech that I gave, and I forgot to pack my decent shoes. So I'm literally wearing Crocs on stage. They're not commenting about anything I'm saying or anything like that. They're commenting about the fact that I have Crocs on instead of other shoes. But that video got me 900, almost 1 million views on that one video alone. And you and I both know as entrepreneurs, that opportunity if we had that opportunity to speak to 1 million people, how much time would we put into prepping for that and doing that? And would we really care if there were 4 or 5 people that didn't care out of that didn't like what we did? Because we know so many more would. But like you said, a lot of those people aren't going to say anything, but we're still having an impact on them. And we're still helping build our brand with every single one of those people. From your perspective, talk to me a little bit more about that. You wanted to unpack that again, the fact that there are so many lurkers that aren't talking. How do you as a creator help deal with that fact that you know that the vast majority, 90+% of the people watching your videos are never going to say anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, from, just like an analytical standpoint, I really look at the view count. That's kind of the metric of success right now that I'm looking at. So, I mean, do all of our videos have, virality and almost 1 million views? No, but what I like
No.
to use the views as is a feedback loop of what is the type of content that more people want to see. Because if something is getting a lot of views, well, then now that is a trigger for me to continue to produce more of that content. I think it's interesting the way these social media platforms are built, and that dopamine hit that you get when you open up the app and you see notifications and people are commenting. But I don't really use that as a measure of success in terms of, was this video successful or not? I look more at the views, and the ones that do organically perform really well. Well, then I take those videos and then I use them in our paid advertising. So I allow the
really
organic reach, to show me, what they want more of, so I can film more of it, and then what we should potentially put into ads. And this is a strategy that any small business can do as well. I mean, you don't need a fancy DSLR camera. All you need is one of these and you're good to go. If you got a flip phone, it's time to upgrade, but all you need is a smartphone.
Yeah, in fact, I find that my smartphone videos often perform better than the ones when I'm sitting in my studio or anything else. That authenticity seems to really bring out more views and more interaction with that video, certainly more engagement overall. I love the idea how you're sharing and using those videos that are performing well in other places, repurposing them to ads and things like that, because obviously you've seen organically what's getting people's attention, and that's what we want as we're doing that. As we take a look into, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing. And like I said, it's a concept that anybody can do. We often, tell our clients, like, if you're not putting out content, then there's nothing for people to click on. If there's nothing for them to click on, that's not going to turn into a lead, which can't turn into appointment, which can't turn into, a new client. It all starts with putting out the content.
So true. So true. Well, we talked a little bit in advance about some of the things that you and I have done to embrace these trolls and the negative comments. One of the big things for me, I think that, as I shared a little bit earlier, that's been groundbreaking and maybe mind-breaking for me to kind of break that, was just the fact that I need to expect and embrace those negative comments. They're going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and just being prepared for them and understanding that, again, from the algorithm's perspective, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever, they're not looking to worry whether they're complaining about whether I need a haircut, which sometimes I do, or whether I've got Crocs on, which sometimes I do. They're looking at that engagement in general, and that's what they're paying attention to. So I know expecting that was huge for me and just getting in the right mental headspace. What are some of the things that you have found helpful to you as you've continued to produce videos, dealing with that expectation and that understanding that there's just some slime balls out there that are going to say mean things?
Yeah. So one of the things that I am now very conscious of as I've grown my following is making sure if I am going to go look at the comments, because I do want to respond to the positive ones,
Hmm.
that I'm in the proper mindset and I'm in a space where I am able to handle that. I think just the way that social media is, if we're standing in line and there's a couple of minute wait, it's like, oh, I'll just pull out my phone and I'll check my socials. Like, I don't do that anymore, because I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't still sting. It does
Sure.
sometimes still hurt. But I have changed up my strategy, because at first I didn't respond to the comments at all. And then I did start responding to them. And what I realized is that it's not worth your time arguing with an idiot online. It just isn't. And, I would try to come up with like a sarcastic remark or a witty remark. And after I put, like, I'm typing it, I'm like, oh, this feels good. I'm going to let them know, who I am. And then
Yeah.
afterwards, it didn't feel good. And what I don't want to do is fight hate with hate. So now what I do is, if it's a super derogatory comment, I will delete it. I don't want that living on my socials. If it's just maybe not nice, or, just something that some keyboard warrior was saying, I will leave it. I think it says a lot more about the person than it does me. And one of the things that I did in the beginning that actually really helped was I would look at that person's profile. And
Mm,
most of them have private profiles, right? So it's like you're not
right.
even going to get to see. But what was really interesting is the ones that did have public, profiles. I would just ask myself, is this somebody I would want to have in my inner circle? Is this somebody I'd hang out with? Is this somebody I would look up to? Does this person's online profile represent my definition of success? And the answer was always no. It's like, no, I would not hang
Mm,
out with
so
this
good.
person. And if the answer is no, then who cares?
Yeah.
And, I will say that my belief in humanity has dropped down just a little bit with just seeing what some people come up with. But if that is the price that I have to pay, just reading those comments and knowing that their opinions really don't matter, if that's the price I have to pay to make an impact on the people that I am trying to reach and the people whose lives I do want to change, then it's worth it.
No, that's so good. That's so good. Another big thing for me, and this only started happening recently, and I've been doing daily videos since October of 2022. So I've been at it for a little while. And this probably in the last few months finally started. And it really amazed me is I had some negative comments come in some videos, and I had people start defending me that I'd never heard of before, that I didn't even know were watching my videos. And I'm curious if you've ever ran into that at all. I have no idea what tripped that wire, so to speak, or broke that straw that caused that to happen. But it's something that I've noticed happening in the last couple of months. Again, as those trolls come out, I'm out now getting that tribe that's following me, even though they may say nothing to me about whether they like what I'm saying or not. When somebody comes out and it's just being a butthead, I'm seeing these people start to pile on them, and it's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that. I mean, in the beginning, it was people that I know in real life. I'll never
Okay.
forget Tony Ricketts, who's in Seven Figure
Yeah.
Agency. One Sunday morning, he got into this battle for like an hour, going back and forth with this troll online. And it was pretty funny. And so in the beginning, it was people that already do know me, people in my
Sure.
real world that I've had relationships with for very long periods of time. And I would reach out to them and I'd say, guys, I really appreciate you having my back, but it's really not worth your time. And some of them are like, well, it's just fun, like we're having
Yeah.
fun
Yeah.
going back and forth. But like you have seen, once you start getting that followers of people that don't know you in real life, I have started seeing them also coming up to bat for me and, putting these trolls into their place. And these are people that I've never even had a conversation with. So I have experienced, a very, very similar journey in not just my real world friends having my back, but also these new, followers, which I believe you call brand boosters,
Yeah.
of people that, will go after that person for you. It's pretty interesting.
Well, it is, and you made a really good point. I meant to comment on it, and that it's not worth for you and I as the creator, as the person on camera, it's not worth us trying to argue with an idiot because you're never ever going to win. There is no logic behind it, probably not even much emotion, other than they must live a miserable life to want to cause problems. But there's no sense arguing with them because it doesn't do anything. I've definitely found one of the best tips is just to ignore them. And like you said, if something's particularly negative, I may delete it. A lot of it, the comments about me wearing Crocs and needing to lose more weight and stuff like that. I'm like, well, yeah, that's all true. Fair enough. Whatever. I'll leave those up, but I don't engage with them because it never seems to get anywhere. I have tried a few times and generally been frustrated at the end of it. Why did I waste an hour of my time on somebody that I was never going to change their mind in the first place? So I think that was a really key point of that.
Yeah, one of my coaches, Dan Martell, he says the world will show you where you are not free. And I was having a conversation with one of my best friends. His name's Matt Arroyo. He's also a martial artist, UFC fighter, owns a school. And he was like, well, do you think your voice is a little different than most women? Do you think that you look like the average female? And he's right. And I think one thing that we have to remember is that typically the most successful people out there are often the most misunderstood. And you have to be okay with being misunderstood. And what is so great about being normal? I don't believe I was put here on this planet to be normal. I believe I was put here on this planet to do really big, epic stuff. And in order to do that, part of the price of admission is having to deal with what haters are saying. So, is my voice a little different? Yes. Do I maybe now, I used to wear a baseball hat all the time and a suit jacket and cut my hair. And yeah, it is a little bit more masculine looking, and the world will show you where you're not free. And, at first it really bothered me, but this is who I am, and I want to be 100% authentically me. And if that means not everybody knows and likes me and loves me, then that's okay, because the people that I do want to know me and like me and trust me, I will attract with just being who I am.
Oh, no doubt. I love what you say about being normal, though. I mean, I don't know any of us as entrepreneurs that actually want to be normal. We want to be special. We want to add value. We want to serve people. We don't just want to blend into the background. And you're right. If we're not going to just blend into the background, we're essentially painting a target on us. And there are some people that are going to take cheap shots. That's just the way it goes. And there's nothing around that. I think that's a super, super good point. Well, Chris, I promised you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just want to add this one thing before we wrap up. So I had this initial strategy of trying to grow my follower count through doing business videos, right? Tips on marketing and sales and, building a team. And I started very consistently every day putting out a video, but I wasn't seeing the follower growth that I was hoping to do. So we changed the strategy to basically throw a wider net out there. And for me, the followers that I want, in particular, are martial arts school owners. So what we started doing was putting out content that would be relevant to just martial artists in general. There's millions and millions of martial artists. There's not millions of school owners. And once we decided that I was going to start putting these videos out, we had already had a session booked to do business videos. So I had my hat on, I had a suit jacket, I was in a pair of jeans, and the producer was like, I'm telling you, you got to shoot some jiu-jitsu videos. People are going to love it. You're an amazing teacher. Let them see that side of you. And while, he was like, you're going to get a ton of followers that aren't school owners, but you will also get school owners that will be following you at the same time. So I said, okay, fine. He twisted my arm. And we filmed 3 videos that day, only 3, at the jiu-jitsu school where I was teaching a jiu-jitsu technique, but I was in my suit. And now that I look back on this, hindsight, that was probably one of the most ingenious things that we ever could have done, because when do people train in the martial arts in a suit? And what that did is
Yeah.
it got people's attention. Like, what is
Mm.
this person doing jujitsu on a mat with somebody else wearing a suit? And it was a great lesson that being different can absolutely help you get more views and go viral. And three of my most popular videos are those three videos of me doing jujitsu in a suit. Now, the next batch, I wore my normal no-gi attire that you would, but just kind of looking back, and it wasn't even planned. The reason why I wore the suit was I didn't have my martial arts uniform with me. I didn't have my gi, because we were just going to be shooting business content. So, it's just kind of interesting how that all played out. And a lot of the comments were negative, like, why are you, doing jujitsu in a suit? And I'm like, well, I'm just trying to make jujitsu fancy again. And it got a huge response because it wasn't what normally people would see. So, I it's kind of funny looking back that those videos ended up going viral because, I was in a suit and a baseball cap, which isn't the norm.
Well, but what I love about that, Chris, is that authenticity. And it's one of the things I've always appreciated about you. You just always seem very comfortable in your own skin and being who you are. And I think that's so important for all of us as entrepreneurs, especially when we look at video marketing, creating content and getting out there. That's part of what draws people to us. We don't need everybody in the marketplace to work with us. We only need some of them. And if we can be authentic, we're going to attract those people that are most likely going to be the clients we want to work with anyway. So to me, it's just a win-win. And I love that story. That's fantastic. As we
Thanks.
bring the plane in for a landing, what advice do you have for that business owner that's they're listening? We've got a lot of comments coming in, lots of great stuff. But is that business owner that's watching and going, I'm still not quite ready. I'm not sure if video marketing's for me. I don't know if I want to put my name out there. I don't know if I want to put the risk. What advice do you have for them as we wrap things up, Chris?
Yeah, it's bigger than just you. It really is.
Mm.
And you not deciding to take that step, and, the whole saying of you got to get outside of your comfort zone. You're not just holding yourself back, but you're holding other people back. You are not living into what I would believe is your full potential. I am here to become the absolute best version of Chris that I can be. And the next step is sharing that with the rest of the world, because I've been inspired and motivated by people who decided to take that step, and it allowed me to step into my potential even more because they did that. So I think, that's piece of advice number one. The second thing, and I'd love to get your feedback on this a lot, because I hear from business owners, well, I don't want to be the face of my business because then I can't sell my business. And
Mm.
it's like, why don't we go create that problem first, right? Like,
Yes,
go
thank
create
you.
a problem before we try to solve it. And my kind of thought process on the personal branding aspect, as opposed to, just the Grow Pro branding, is that I'm going to be me for the rest of my life. Okay.
Yeah.
And Grow Pro isn't going to be the last company that I ever run. I know I have more to give in me, and I will take me, Chris, on every next chapter of my life. And it can be incredibly powerful for your future self to start building that personal brand now, because you're going to take you into the next venture. You're going to take you into that next chapter. And I just hear that often from business owners, like, well, I won't be able to sell my business. Like, yes, you will. And if there is a
Yeah.
time where you do want to sell your business, then you will transition into having somebody else stepping in as the CEO. We saw Alex Hormozy do that. He was the face of Gym Launch and started the
Hmm.
transition of having his next CEO, Cale Owen, step into that. And it is a transitionary period, but I think it's just so funny how business owners will use that as the excuse. Like, that's why I'm not going to build my personal brand, because I won't be able to sell my business. It's like, let's create that problem first and then we can solve it. And just understanding that you're going to be you for the rest of your life, and start building that up now, because you can take that in every next venture that you have.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And it's ironic because that's actually a fear, Chris, that I had for probably 15 of the last 20 years. And an excuse that I used is to not create content. And what I've realized since I've started creating content and being willing to be the face of the brand. In fact, as you know, I named it after my beard. Okay. I mean, it's me. But I do so much more business now and I've grown so much faster that even if there's any negative aspect to me being the face of the company, I have a much larger company and a much more profitable company to sell. You mentioned Alex Hormozy. I was just thinking of the books behind me. I've got one of his books right here. Again, like you said, he did that with Gym Launch. Even with his current company, acquisition.com, if he and Layla decided to sell that, they're not going to get less money because they're the face of it. They've built an amazing company. On this side of me, I've got Gary Vaynerchuk's latest book. There we go. He owns VaynerMedia. If Gary decides to sell VaynerMedia, he's not going to get less money for it because he happens to be Gary Vaynerchuk, the guy it's named after, in the face of the company. They've both built amazing companies that have tremendous value in the marketplace, even though they're the face of them. And I would contend in both cases, part of the reason they've built the companies they have is because they were willing to go out there to be authentic, to be different. I mean, who would have thought that a guy could sit around in shorts and a tank top wearing a nose tape and like Alex Hormozy does and become one of the most influential entrepreneurial, motivators out there? I mean, just would have never guessed it in a million years, but he's done it and it works. So that personal brand, that authenticity we've been talking about, in my mind, is so incredibly important.
Yeah. And I do think we should touch on, it is work, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, putting out a video a day, it is work, but you got to start somewhere. And I wouldn't suggest starting with one a day. Let's set the bar kind of low. Can we do one a week? And then can we level it up to twice a week? And then, 3 times and so on and so forth. And I just believe, like, truly in my heart, because I've seen it with my companies, that the more that I focus on building my personal brand, the bank account also grows, the client count also grows, and it's just become a non-negotiable. And the last thing I'll say is everybody can do this. So how can you differentiate yourself online? And especially, like, let's talk like paid advertising, right? If you're a small business and you want to do paid ads, you don't want your ads to look exactly the same as everybody else. Well, how do you differentiate yourself? You do that through the power of video, because nobody can be you. And most businesses aren't willing to take that extra step because it is more work, but it is, I always say hard work works. It is something that will pay off.
You're absolutely right. It does take work. And there are days that it's 11 o'clock at night and I made a commitment to post daily. And so I do that, crap, I forgot to post today. I got busy. Things didn't happen. And I may record a video at 11 o'clock at night. A lot of times I've pre-recorded and I do it in batches. So it's not like every single day I've got to be recording. But the challenge that I would give to anybody who goes, man, that's a lot of work, is yes, it is. But like you said, what's it worth? In my case, I can share the fact that virtually every single day I get a handful of qualified people reaching out to me, wanting to work with me, that I didn't have to, that I don't know, I didn't reach out to, I didn't go cold call them. What's that worth to you as a business owner, as an entrepreneur? And is that worth, putting maybe 20 minutes a day into that marketing process if you knew that it could create that engine of inbound qualified leads that want to work with you? So
100%.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're creating this vortex of kind of momentum in your business, and you got to remember, it's not like you're just going to post a video and you got a line of prospects outside your door, but it compounds. It's the compound effect. Small smart choices done consistently over time will yield drastic results, and I know for both of us, personally and professionally, we've seen those drastic results occur.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Chris, I want to thank you so much. I know you're slammed busy. You just got back from a trip and all that. You've got so much value to add. It has been an absolute pleasure spending the last 35 minutes with you. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story. And just as a last bit of encouragement, I want to give you, if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, even just a business professional, and you're listening to this and thinking, man, I should do it, just take that step of faith and start putting that video out there. Just like Chris said, even if it's once a week to start with, answer the questions that your audience is asking, and you will become that expert. It won't happen tomorrow, won't happen after 3 videos, but if you do it consistently, you will create an inbound lead machine that literally generates new opportunities for you. In my case, on a daily basis, and Chris, I think in your case, probably the same, that certainly you can say every single week, I've got new opportunities coming in that I didn't know about, and it's due to the video stuff we do. So Chris,
100%.
thank you again. I appreciate it. Thank you for hanging out with us. If you're on the live, we value you guys. We thank you. If you're watching on the replay, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to connect with us. Chris, what's the best way if people want to reach out to you for them to connect with you?
Yeah, I'd love if you guys could give me a follow on Instagram. It's my name with my middle name. So Chris Lee Rodriguez, Lee, like Bruce Lee. Chris Lee Rodriguez is the Instagram handle. Give me a follow and I'll give you one back.
That's awesome. And I encourage you to do that. Chris is an amazing entrepreneur, an amazing businesswoman. I encourage you, get to know her, watch her content. She has such amazing stuff out there. I can't recommend highly enough that you follow her. I've got more free resources at jonathanmast.com/linktree. Feel free to check that out. And again, we just want to thank everybody for your time today. Make it a great day, everybody, and start pressing record today. See you later, guys.